Hello, this is Shambhavi. Welcome to Satsang. Satsang is an ancient spiritual practice from India. It means being in reality together. I give Satsang live every Wednesday and Sunday night in Portland, Maine. This Dharma talk was recorded during one of our Wednesday night gatherings. Please visit jayakula.org to learn more about the teachings. You can find video satsangs on Jayakula's YouTube channel, and my books are all available on Amazon.com. Much love to you, wherever and however you are. So this is Ma, Anandamayi Ma. The Guru resides in your own heart. But most people are unable to rely firmly on their own self. So they have to take refuge in an external Guru. But in actual fact, the Guru resides within one's own heart. It is the Guru who prompts you to say you can succeed by repeating God's name, even without taking recourse to a Guru. Meaning the Guru in your heart is the one that prompts you to start doing sadhana and to feel like there might be some positive outcome even when you don't have a Guru. That's Guru talking to you. On the other hand, when the time is ripe, it will be that Guru who will make you say that without taking on an external Guru, nothing can be achieved. Then you will see how intense your longing for a Guru will become, so that you will run hither and thither, searching. The essential fact is that the Guru enthroned in your heart dictates to you what course to follow, as and when the need arises. The main thing to do is to follow the advice. So when someone is having some spiritual longing, some longing to wake up or discover something more about their existence, about reality, but there's no teacher, what tells them, oh, I'll find a mantra on the internet, or I'll, I'll look in this book and I'll start doing some Kriya Yoga that I read in a book, or what tells them to do that? That's the Guru in your heart. When I was 27 years old, a snarky, urban, so-and-so with like lots of punk black makeup and spiky hair, and spent most of my time with my head buried in a book or writing. Didn't think I was that interested in spirituality at all. What made me go to this very New Agey center in Soho, New York, called the New York Open Center, and sign up for a course called Follow Your Intuition or something like that, Develop Your Intuition. To this day, I have absolutely no recollection of why I did that. It's like a blank, I went from, being this completely uninterested person, and suddenly I'm sitting in this room with this woman in flowy purple skirts listening about intuition. I don't really know how I got there. I just kind of went along, So what makes you be interested in a spiritual path in waking up, what makes you look for some kind of sadhana to do, even if your background wouldn't indicate that, is that inner wisdom that is coming to you through the sandhi of the heart chakra, through that gateway of the heart chakra, where that ultimate wisdom is pouring out, waiting for you to listen to it. And then what happens? You develop a little bit I did all kinds of really uncharacteristic things in my search for waking up. I mean, I stumbled into this class and learned Kriya Yoga from this woman. And then at some point got another teacher, even more New Agey than the first one. Completely outside of anything I thought I might do. Just did it anyway. Because there was something in these women that I saw that was more than just about them being New Agey. I saw some clarity in them, actually. And I loved the techniques that I was learning. And then, I looked on the internet to try to find a guru at some point, but I couldn't find one. And I found the Satyananda lineage, and I got this book from Swami Janakananda in Sweden or Denmark or wherever he is. And I read through this book, and I started doing all the different sadhanas in this book. It was called Yoga, Tantra, and Everyday Life, or something like that. I started doing Hatha Yoga out of this book. I started doing mantra out of this book. I started doing Kriya Yoga out of this book. And then in this book, he said something about that the Maharishi Yogi people, although, they were very simplistic, that they actually gave authentic mantras. So I went and sat with this incredibly weird woman and had her give me a Bija seed mantra, and then I just started doing that. Right? And all of these things were completely uncharacteristic. But I was just following along with just following what seemed like the thing that I should do. And then eventually I found real teachers. So it is that Guru Tattva that awakens, the Guru element, that awakens the desire for a teacher, that awakens the longing for a teacher. And that makes that longing get stronger and stronger until you find one. And it's that same wisdom that allows you to follow the instructions of the teacher, that allows you to experience some sort of confidence in what's going on, even if it's weird, even if it's outside of your normal frame of reference. You can identify a feeling of confidence in something that seems to come out of nowhere. And most of us, in experiencing that sense of confidence that seems to come out of nowhere, we override it with our ordinary mind and our conventional ways of dealing with things. We argue about it. We listen to what our friends have to say. We read articles about, trying not to have to take a leap into the unknown. Those people who are ripe will listen to that inner knowing, which is the voice of Guru Tattva. They will listen to that in spite of everything, in spite of being criticized by friends and family, in spite of having to do weird things in weird places. They'll just do that. Because we can have a sense of inner knowing that is above and beyond any emotional needs, any emotional fantasy, any concept mind, any realm fixation, any convention. We can have a sense of inner knowing. And when we have that and follow it, that is when we really start to wake up. So it is that wisdom that we call Guru Tattva. Guru Tattva is the inevitable cosmic movement of manifest life toward self-revelation. That's what Guru Tattva is. It is that Shakti, that movement toward self-revelation. And it comes in different forms. It makes different things manifest in your life when you follow it. It's like following a stream of Vidya Shakti, wisdom energy. It's that which is dictating to you what you should do. And people go through great pains and efforts to follow that Guru Tattva, that Vidya Shakti. We expect, in our culture, a lot of us expect everything to be easy. But it's not. It takes a great deal of courage to just follow it. the thing that you have confidence in. So that's why Ma says the most important thing is to follow that promptings of that wisdom heart. Now, the spiritual bypassing way of approaching this is to say, well, my guru's inside, I don't need an external guru. All that means is that you're not ready for external teachers yet. Yeah, you can say, I've done lifetimes of sadhana, I've had teachers, and I've realized, and now I can feel that wisdom heart for real, and I can hear it for real, and I can follow it for real. And then you don't need an external guru. But the people that run around saying, I don't need a guru, the guru is inside me, are people who simply don't yet hear the call and don't understand the beauty of working with somebody else. They want to hold on to their separation and feeling of independence, which is a false sense of independence. It's a sense of it's independence that is actually slavery, not freedom, because you're enslaved to self-concept. You're attached to a very limited idea of your own independence, what that feels like and what that looks like. When you're a little bit more awake, you really want help. First stage is not bypassing guru. You can't do that stage first. First stage is you do something that eventually, you take some action that eventually leads you to desire a teacher, right? To recognize that having help is good. That's the first step toward experiencing yourself as part of a continuity, as being in continuity, being in alliance with others in our world. And we really trip ourselves up because we value this really gross, crass sense of independence so much. That trips us up in lots of areas of our life. And we actually live in a world that is entirely made of alliances and connections. And then we're like, trying to run off and do our own thing. It just doesn't really get you that far. Turns out. And then once we have realized for ourselves the continuity of all life, then the need for the external guru does dissipate. But that's after we have recognized our real nature. And we can continue to work with that. Not before. This is from Bhaiji. So Bhaiji it means respected brother. And Bhaiji was Chandra Jyotish Roy. He was one of Anandamayi Ma's 2 principal male disciples, one of which was her husband. And I think that Bhaiji was one of the most inspiring disciples of a teacher that I've read about. We read about Milarepa, he was pretty inspiring, right? And there's other inspiring stories of different disciples, and Bhaiji's one of them. I think he's right up there with Milarepa as far as I'm concerned in terms of how he just he understood what the guru-disciple relationship really is. So this is a teaching from him. Reduce yourself to 0. Get rid of everything. Reduce yourself to 0. On this life's journey, keep attending to your own steps. Reduce yourself to 0. Meaning, don't do anything for acclaim. Don't do anything to be recognized. Don't do anything to be approved of. Don't do anything to gain people's attention or like or dislike. Don't do anything. Attend to your own steps. What a concept. Maitri asked me if she could start a blog of spiritual writings about her journey. We can barely write a word without thinking of how we're going to put it out there, right? These days. every stray thought. We think, that would sound good on Facebook. We find it very hard to just attend to our own steps, to simply pay attention to what we're doing for its own sake. We always want to know how it's going to look to somebody else, how it's going to sound to somebody else, and can we get recognition and approval for it? We want that before it's even, halfway formed, whatever it is. Some small, partial idea comes to us and we already are thinking, I wonder how that'll sound to so-and-so. Right? How does it feel not doing a blog? I told her no for the time being.
Yeah, I think that was the right thing. But there's also that just pleasure in creating something.
Yeah, sure. Why not? As you come nearer and nearer to the destination, you will find yourself reconciled, not only to the ideal, but also, most difficult of all, to others. Let me read that again. As you come nearer and nearer to the destination, that means waking up, you will find yourself reconciled, not only to the ideal, but also, most difficult of all, to others. Means that you will make your peace or become aligned with not only enlightenment, but to others. You cannot be realized without being at peace with other people, with ordinary life. We have to get used to waking up. We have to reconcile ourselves with waking up. Matri wrote something on our mandala group today about, that everyone, we want to wake up, but we also want to hold things in reserve. Right? We don't want to give it all. We have to get reconciled to this process of giving away all of our self-concept and all of the attachments that we have. At the same time, we also have to be reconciled to other people. Other people are part of your enlightenment. What a concept. So we have to be reconciled both to the extraordinary and the ordinary. The whole thing. You can't leave anything out. And this is what working with a guru helps you to do. Become reconciled to both surrendering everything, your whole self. What you're surrendering is your self-concept. The concept of the world and concept of other people. You're surrendering all your contrivance. Whether you surrender your money or your possessions is of absolutely no consequence. Unless, you're very, very attached to those things. But what you really, surrender really means is surrendering your attachments, your rigidity, your contrivance, your ideas about everything, the things that you think are so important about you. That's what you're surrendering. You're surrendering the effort to make people admire you. You're surrendering your brand. Everybody in our culture has a brand. It's really disgusting. It's not like that everywhere in the world. Everybody should travel and realize that we're living in this weird hothouse of American culture. It is really weird. People elsewhere in general are not shopping themselves the way that we do. So you have to give up all that and reconcile yourself, in a sense, to life without those things, without those efforts to sell yourself. At the same time, you have to reconcile yourself to everyday life. to just the ordinariness of everything, to how people are. This is very, very difficult. A lot of people enter into a spiritual tradition or a spiritual practice hoping that they'll escape ordinary life, that everything will become somehow this magical panoply of color and light all the time, constant ecstasy and transcendental whatever. It's not like that. Right? It's not like that either. It's the whole thing. It's all of reality that you have to become reconciled to. And this is why we work with human teachers. No human teacher is ever going to never annoy you. No human teacher is never going to never disappoint you. No human teacher is never going to never freak you out or make you question if you're in the right place or do something that shocks you or offends you. If you spend time with a teacher in a guru-disciple relationship, you are spending time with a human being. And you are going to have to reconcile yourself to the fact that this person is doing something extraordinary, living in an extraordinary way, showing you something about yourself that's extraordinary, at the same time that they pick their nose and do other things that bother you. You are going to have to reconcile yourself to both the ordinary and the extraordinary about that person. And you are going to have to reconcile yourself to the fact that all of it is God. So a person who is like Paiji, a real disciple, does not pick apart their teacher into the good bits and the bad bits. Here's what I like about her and here's what I don't. And, I just ignore this part. Stick it in the she's not enlightened bin of ideas I have about her, right? Or him. And over here is her enlightened bit. Because if you do that, you will never realize. Other people will always bother you. You'll always be analyzing other people and relating to other people in a totally ordinary way and not seeing them as God. If you want to see everyone as God, you have to see God. And if you want to see God, you have to do a lot of sadhana. Or you have to have done a lot in some previous lifetime. You have to wear away the tyranny that your physical eyes have over you. The tyranny of your ordinary senses that only see and feel and hear the most gross things. You have to subtleize your senses by doing a lot of sadhana. You have to become porous so that you can see God. And then when you see God, you start to see God everywhere. That's the only way. You can't just look at people inanely repeat some aphorism to yourself like, you are divine. It just doesn't work like that. It's not an intellectual process. What you can do, though, is hear a teaching, maybe not this teaching, but maybe, who knows, but any teaching. What you can do is hear a teaching and recognize the truth of it, even though you have very little experience of it. Because a real teaching is about your real nature. So when people are ready for some particular set of teachings from some particular tradition and some teacher, then they can hear teachings and there is something other than their intellect that hears them. And that is your wisdom heart. That is your inner guru that's hearing them and going, yup. And then you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make yup. And if you have a little bit of courage and a little bit of adventuresomeness and some confidence in your own wisdom heart, then you go, okay, well, I don't get all of it, but I get it. And so I'm going to keep going, find out more. So you can hear teachings, that's called transmission. You can hear teachings and you can recognize something that you have confidence in, even if you can't explain it. And then you can go on from there. But you can't figure out how to see everybody as divine. It's not a behavioral adjustment. It's a perceptual reality. Jayakula is a nonprofit community offering opportunities to learn and practice in the direct realization traditions of Trika Shaivism and Dzogchen. We are based in Portland, Maine and Portland, Oregon. Visit jayakula.org to explore more of our offerings.